Chris and Dan Show back with another book review. Chris, you got to step your game up. I don't know what the heck Chris is doing, but we got eight more interviews coming, some reactions too. You guys love that stuff. Listen, I'm gonna just keep doing book reviews here. It's a big part of my life and my learning experiences right now. Friedrich Nietzsche, Ecce Homo. No, this is not. I am the captain now. It looks just like him. This is actually Penguin Classics probably picked this book, but this painting was drawn in 1912 after Nietzsche passed away. So he couldn't have even picked this because it didn't even exist. But it's a self-portrait with Physalis, and it's by the Austrian expressionist Egon Schiele, and it talks about introspection and provocative. So it fits with this book because this book is essentially that. It's introspective. It's honestly, I would have started like I wish this was the first Nietzsche book I read. This is the third, and now because of this, I bought the entire this is a bargain. The entire Nietzsche best works. Let me tell you exactly what it was. It was the complete works of Nietzsche, including Thus Spake Zarathustra, Beyond Good and Evil, Human All Too Human, The Birth of Tragedy, and many more for 49 cents. Okay, which actually includes this one too, but I didn't know about it. So that's kind of my point. If you're new to Nietzsche, I would read this book, even though it's counterintuitive, because he kind of gives summaries of his most important writings, and he kind of explains what he accomplished or what he tried to accomplish in each work. And now there's parts of this autobiography where it's hard to take him seriously. And this was only weeks before he just completely lost his mind and went mad. So you might even see some of like signs of it here, but I think this is actually his true style. And there's a fine line between insane and genius. And I think Nietzsche was. I don't agree with a lot of his things. I think he believed it all, but I it's to me, I get the idea of owning your thoughts, owning your beliefs, being more courageous about truth. I just disagree with like he went really hard on religion, which I'm not a religious person either, and we're gonna get into that, but it seems like he is an atheist, which it wouldn't surprise me if it turns out that was the case. It's just something instinctively in me doesn't believe that. And actually, instinct comes up a lot in this book too. So I would start with this book first, precisely because he kind of gives you an idea of what his other books are about. So instead of guessing or going to the bookstore or going on Amazon and like reading the reviews or reading the back of the cover, you can kind of know, okay, well, the gay science, this is about this. Beyond Good and Evil is kind of an up close view of the bird's eye view topic of what Zarathustra was talking about. So you kind of can be more, I guess, snipe in on like the topics you'd want to hear more from Nietzsche. I just kind of picked them up at random. And then I picked this up because I'm like, what the hell? Like, this guy's interesting. Let me learn more about him and in his own words. So there's a lot in here. It's actually a easy enough book to read. It's got a lot of unapologetic swagger about him. I think it's worth picking up. And if you're brand new to Nietzsche, I actually don't think it's too crazy to pick this up first. So he's talking about his own legacy. He's talking about the books he wrote, why he wrote them. There's also other chapters, like my favorite one's actually the last one, Why Am I a Destiny? And there's a couple of themes in here. One of them is self-creation and affirmation. So one big idea is self-creation. Nietzsche isn't just recording his life, although he kind of is. He's sculpting how he wants to be remembered. He writes, and this is in the last chapter, he wrote, I am no man, I am dynamite. And that's not just bravado, it's his way of saying he's here to explode old values and build something new. It bleeds right into theme two, because at the time in the 19th century. So he died 1900, I think, but he was basically around mid 1800s. Christianity, grew up in Germany. He's a huge critic of Christian religion. I mean, he goes really hard on it, but as somebody who is not very pro-religion myself, unlike Nietzsche, I understand why people believe or choose to believe, and I respect them for their beliefs. And we actually debate on this channel with Chris, who's a Christian, and Joey Finro, who's also a devout Christian. You know, we go back and forth, and you can see like where the reasoning kind of breaks down at some point to believe any religion. You have to have faith that what you don't understand, that the God of that religion kind of has the answers for you, and that it requires faith and you need human intervention, so like priests or pastors or whatever the case may be to kind of guide you through it. And listen, I know a lot of people that have lives have personally gotten better because of religion. Like it literally saved them. So I don't go as hardcore as Nietzsche, but I did find myself entertained with seeing him just rip religion apart. And he focuses on Christianity, but I mean he would rip apart any religion. I think he even ripped apart Plato at one point for believing in the gods uh, of Greek mythology. So he calls himself the first immoralist and attacks Christian values as life denying. So he sees religion as being something that imposes, and he's got this thing against like altruism and against being good. Now, if you take that too far, it does become nihilistic, and his biggest critics say he advocates nihilism, but he really advocates for self-creation and affirmation. And in a day and age like today, where everyone tries to fit in with what's politically correct, and there's two camps, and there's a lot of echo chamber thinking, he would shatter those and say, you've got to look inside of yourself. He even says, I do not want to be followed. I do not want my philosophy to be followed. I do not want to consider myself um, a saint of this religion because I know people are going to point to me as that. I want you to follow yourself and figure out who you yourself are. And there's a couple of quotes from here that really resonated with me, even though I don't agree with a lot of what he says, or maybe I don't go as extreme as he advocates for. There's one quote in here about standing up for yourself, even in the face of everyone telling you, the herd telling you you're wrong, or maybe just an individual telling you you're wrong. He advocates for standing up for yourself. He also says, and this is actually good life advice. I don't care what religion you are. You should not put yourself in positions where you constantly have to react. So separate yourself from people who are constantly making you react. Hey, let's go here. Hey, let's do this. Hey, it's time to do this. Like, there's people in my life that try to do that, and I find ways to kind of minimize my interactions with them because I want to be in the driver's seat of my own life. And if I have these people surrounding me in my life, I'm actually not living my life. I'm living theirs. And so I think that's something very powerful that maybe many won't pick up on. I definitely did. He also had a very good quote in here towards the end where he talks about staying focused and remaining industrious and keeping yourself active. He says, what if there is no devil? And remember, now I think he's an atheist, but in this particular example, he argues, what if the devil is just God resting on the seventh day and not having anything to do? And if you think about it, when people have too much time on their hands, they typically end up in vice, right? And that's kind of the crux of my philosophical study is figuring out how to first of all choose your virtues that you want to follow and then how to follow them versus avoiding vices. And everyone has certain vices that appeal to them more than others. I thought that was a really clever way of phrasing it is what if the devil is actually just God when he rested on the seventh day? And it's kind of cool. I know it was meant to be tongue in cheek. He didn't literally mean it that way. But if you think about it, there's deeper meanings there. And it's almost like I would probably have to reread a lot of these chapters to get more of those kind of, for me, little nuggets of wisdom here. Even though I don't have to agree with his entire philosophy, there's pieces of like gold within this book if you're open-minded enough, even if you're a Christian. I found this book to be fascinating. Again, it's kind of like a roadmap of all his works through his voice. And then you can kind of go back and pick and choose. And I didn't realize you can buy his entire works or all the most important works for 49 cents on Kindle. So I did that. Am I going to read them all? Probably not. I'll probably skip through here and there, but at some point, it's nice to know that I actually have it on my Kindle and that I can pick it up and kind of read. And that's the thing with Nietzsche is every sentence is so powerful, right? And why this matters in 2025 and beyond. Again, it's a masterclass in owning your narrative. We all grapple with it, especially in the age of social media. We're trying to fit in. He's all about rejecting the herd mentality and forging your own path. Like, I do have to respect, especially being on a platform like LinkedIn. I can't always say what I feel. And Nietzsche would tell me that, well, I'm not a Superman, I'm not a Zarathustra. We strive to be able to own our own narrative, right? And we all have to fall and play by the rules that society imposed on us. But as long as you're aware of it, I think you can try without risking it all to do that. It's also a window into his mind that shaped modern philosophy, postmodernism, psychology, even art. Love him or hate him, he forces you to think. It's a reminder to question everything, including myself. It's a thin book, but if you really dwell on some of the deeper stuff, it takes you time to actually understand it. And again, I would probably read some of it again. Now that I read all of it, I know which parts to go back to and like kind of double click a little more. So, highly recommend this book. And again, if you're new to Nietzsche, I'd probably start here first. Let me know what you think. Like, subscribe, comment, share. Bye bye.